It is time for Sunday night setup with Jamaica Thomas, JTEducates LLC. And we are here just getting ready for our week. As leaders, we know that on Sunday night, sometimes Saturday, Sunday night, that is our time to prep for the week. Friday night, we've let our hair down, taken off our business clothes. Saturday, some of us are in sweatpants or PJs, or doing things for other organizations and things like that. And then Sunday is a rest day for a lot of us where we choose to go to our places of worship or just to have self care day. But that Sunday night, we rev up for the next week, right? And so it was just part of my duty to help you all and help us. And as we are on this journey together to have love and light through leadership, I wanted to give my little piece to help support us as we're doing this. I'm learning a lot of ahas I have while we are talking or while I'm presenting to you all. It applies to me like, okay, now that was for me. That part was for me. So I get these downloads about what topics to explore every week. And so we are here, just excited to begin. So, again, my name is Jamaica Thomas. I'm with JTEducates. I'm the founder of that company. And one of our goals is to have this weekly live where we are prepping your week for love and light through leadership. And so this week's topic is collaborative leadership. Collaborative leadership. Now, I'll tell you, as an only child, sometimes it's hard for me to collab, right? There's sometimes I'm like, oh, I got a great idea and I'm going to do it. And this is how I'm going to do it. And do y'all want to join me in what I think we should do in this idea? But we have to value, even when we have these big ideas, even for me, when we have these big ideas, we have to value the thoughts and processes of others. So when we're thinking about collaborative leadership, here's a definition that I came up with: harnessing the power of teamwork to achieve shared goals. Harnessing the power of teamwork to achieve shared goals. Now, when we're talking about leadership, we're not just talking about C suites or principalships or superintendencies or, just the owner of your own LLC. What we're talking about are teachers who are leaders in their classroom. We're talking about kids who are captains or they're on their team or leading their section in the band. We're talking about shift leaders who you might be pulling the shift at Starbucks, right? And you have the capacity to lead. All of us have this capacity to lead some way and somewhere. And so when we are in this capacity or when we have this chance to lead, we have to think about the people who we are around that we can influence or bring together to have these shared goals. It makes me think about a before I left my previous position, we had one or two really major tasks that we had to complete. And so with the department I was over, one of the things that I really prided myself in was bringing everyone to the table. And so we would have this assignment or this task to do, and I would set a meeting first where it was convenient for everybody to be there. And so, if you don't know me, I worked in a K-12 public education system. And for the people who were in my department, most of us, we were able to meet around 3 o'clock because all of us were really in schools from 8 to 3. And so we would meet around 3 o'clock. And I would say, hey, this is the task that is asked of us as a department. What do you all think about this task? Now, we would come together and we would talk about what that task would be. One of the ways that we were able to collaborate was in the way that I actually set up the expectation of wanting to hear everybody's viewpoint, right? And so we had a date for this task, And so I had a big sticky note. I'm big on sticky notes. And I stood at the front of the room and I said, okay, this is what we have to do by this time. If we know this is what we have to do by this time, what do you think we need to do in order to get this done by this time? And when do we need to do it? And so we started to backwards plan the actual steps to the activity or to the task. I made sure that I listened to everyone. And even if there was someone who was hanging back a little bit and not really giving their input, not because they were being standoffish. It was because maybe they were processing or they needed a little bit more time. I would say, hey, do you have a idea for this part of the task? What do you think about this part of the task? What do you think about this step? Do you think that we will get buy-in from other people if we did it with this step? I would pose questions to the people in the group in the room to get their buy-in. Oftentimes as leaders, we do not realize that sometimes when people are quiet in meetings, they either are not sure about the answer or about the task, or they are unsure about themselves and if their answer is correct. And so it is our job to reassure the people that we lead. It is our job to reassure the people that we are helping on a journey in order for them to know that their voice is valued. So, why collaboration matters? Collaboration matters because it fosters creativity and it fosters inclusivity. I just talked about that. We want to be inclusive of everyone on the team, or everyone in our group, or everyone on our shift, or everyone in our section. You know, we want to be inclusive. What happens when we work in an environment that is not inclusive of everyone? Has anybody worked in a place where you could tell that the person had their one or two favorites and didn't really ask your opinion about something, or maybe didn't think about thinking of you to lead, even though you know you have demonstrated the capability and the capacity to lead? Have you ever been in a space where you did not feel included? And that doesn't mean necessarily in leadership, but just in a space where you didn't feel included. None of us want to be in that type of space where we do not feel like we're part of the team. Oftentimes we look at it, and sometimes we can even reflect on our own when we were in school and maybe in PE class and we were one of the last ones picked, right? Nobody likes that. And so, as leaders, it is our responsibility. If you're in your classroom, if you're on your job, if you are the leader of a Fortune 500 company, it is your responsibility to be aware of who's on your team and what they can bring to the table, and to help them to build their capacity in that way. So, what are some practical tools? How do you do this? Brainstorm sessions. Brainstorming sessions are great. That's where you, as a leader, or you know what, you can choose somebody else on your team to lead a brainstorming session. And what that means is that we just come around the table. Maybe we're at a post-it notes, maybe we're all on a shared Google Doc, and we're just putting down ideas. We have a big topic or a big task that we're doing, and we're just flooding and shooting out ideas. When you have that type of informal way of creating steps and tasks and process and procedures, it helps to build the collaboration on your team. Also, you have to think about shared decision making. What do you think we should do? Oftentimes, that was one thing that I prided myself on. When I'm taking on a task and I have to lead a group of people, I have to make a decision for a programming or a conference or a professional development, and we're going and we're trying to figure out a problem, I will ask, what do you think we should do? Now, as a leader, and sometimes even as a parent, you have to maybe have some parameters of choices, because you don't want to have a conversation about colors and then somebody calls out a number, right? Like, you want to keep people on the task. These are our goals, these are our parameters of what we're trying to do. And so you try to cultivate an atmosphere, or cultivate um a way for people to be able to add to the conversation, as they say, value added, right? What is the value add to the conversation? And so, as a leader, you do have to be thoughtful of that when you ask that question, because it can get a little tricky when you say, I can think of students, sometimes I'll say, well, what do we want to do? And, I'm thinking we're going down one road, and somebody way left field will say, well, I want to do this. Well, baby, we can't do it. We have to do it during this time, right? So just think about that. Now, when we think about all of the things that we are called to do as people, there is a saying that says there is no I in team. It's cliche, I know. But don't you know that that's true? Any type of endeavor where something huge needed to happen, you might have seen one person be the spokesperson, but there are tens and hundreds of people who are behind it. It makes me think about the I Have a Dream speech in the March on Washington. Yes, we saw Martin Luther King at the podium, but Martin Luther King also had a speechwriter. He also had someone who was over events. He also had someone who was over crowd control. He also had someone to just manage his day. Like, he was the voice, but there were so many people that helped to build that. And I guarantee he wasn't the only one making decisions when it came to that event. But we see his face, right? That's one thing that we have to think about as a leader, and we're thinking about collaborative leadership. We have to think about, how do we push others? Yes, I might be the voice, I might be the leader, I might be the director, I might be the principal, I might be the teacher, but how can we make shared decision making a goal for our team? How can we get ideas from everyone on the team? And maybe that takes some time in doing some inquiry at the beginning, maybe some personality tests, or maybe um uh I'm trying to think, it's fault finders, not fault finders. I'm sorry, it's not fault finders, it's something else. I can't think right now, but there are different strength finders, fault finders. Jamaica, come on now, fault finders, strength finders. We're thinking about strength finders, and also we're thinking about those things that can also negatively pull and play in our personality, right? And so when we're thinking about collaborative leadership, again, we just want to put all of that together. So my call to action to you tonight is I want you to involve some more people in your decision making this week. I want you to think about the person's voice you never hear. Really think about, if you're a teacher, who is that student that doesn't speak out? If you are in a school, as a leader in a school, who is that teacher that kind of sits back? You know that they're good, you know that they have something to say, but they rarely do. Invite them to the table. On the next task that you have, think about who you can ask to help you in some decision making with that task. We cannot do this alone. There is no way, as leaders and healthy leaders who provide healthy leadership, are we able to do this alone. There is no way, right? Now, this is the end of our segment for this week, about collaborative leadership. I am Jamaica Thomas. I want you to be light. I want you to be love as you lead this week. Be light, be love as you lead this week. Follow me on Instagram at JTEducates, YouTube, LinkedIn, And I'm just, if you would like to leave a comment below, I'm still new at this thing, doing it this way. But if you would like to leave a comment on how you're going to be more collaborative this week and thinking about the voices that are around you and what they can add to your task of the week. All right. Thank you. See you all later. Have a great one. Bye bye.